let's get started. Hello. Hello Ish. How you doing, man? How's things? Oh, right now we'll cheer 10% on top of every cheer over 300 and all power-ups. Thanks, Twitch. If anyone wants to cheer on Twitch, I get 10% more money. Except, I got my first Twitch payout ever last week. So it really doesn't matter. Hello, John. How you doing? I thought about your actual name rather than John the other night. I think I was like lying in bed, unable to sleep because ADHD, and I never really got a hang of saying it correctly. Is it Ivan? I know the name. It's the pronunciation. Yeah, I don't know why I slowed it down there. But it's E rather than I, isn't it? That's the. I mean, do you have a preference? Would you rather hear me say John or even I sped it up too much there? See, what happens is if I think about it, it goes wrong. Um, so yeah, it's I in English. Just change the pronunciation of the alphabet from the Germanic. Yeah, because I think I watched a Rob Words video that talked about it because like English is a very funny language in the sense that it's about four other languages wearing trench coats. Um, yeah. Um, and so you end up with a lot of weird pronunciations and things that shouldn't work that do, and I before E except after C except for in about 100 different other cases because that rule might come from like the French, but then it's like that there's still some like Celtic words in there. There's like Latin and there's Germanic. It's a mess. Um, it's used in 11 Slavic countries and about 10 to 15 Spanish-ish speaking ones. Yeah, fair. No, do you have a preference on which of those you would prefer to hear me call you by? Hello Simon, how you doing? How's things? And hello Ish. I don't know if I actually said that at the start, so yeah. Um, yeah. Not copious amounts. Well, the copious amounts of meds are actually the problem. Uh, here's the thing. I'm on some new drugs. Okay, no, Bear, I'm officially immunocompromised. Now, it turns out that the steroids that I've been taking are apparently actually worse immunosuppressants than the immunosuppressants I'm on. However, I'm still on the steroids. It's a tapered course, and I'm only going on to week 4 this week. Um, but here's the thing. Let me cover up the sensitive information. Um, I don't know about you, but generally speaking, I've been told to stay away from things that have the word toxic on them. Like the sorts of things that are like, you know, skull and crossbones. I've been told to stay away from those sorts of things. This, I'm taking 4 of a day. Um, yeah, it's called azathioprine. Um, I'm taking 200 milligrams a day. And yeah, it is an immunosuppressant, and I am going to have a compromised immune system for probably the rest of my life. one of the common side effects of azathioprine is you basically feel like you have the flu, like that sort of whole body ache, the sort of slowness, the headache, the joint pain, basically all of that. I have that currently. It's not nice. So yeah, I apologize for being extra grumpy today, but I hope you'll understand. Uh, the other side effect is that your Wii looks uranium yellow. That's kind of funny, especially because I didn't expect it. uh, how you feeling? You on some good shit? Kinda not. Kinda. Sort of. Yeah, not really. I'm not on anything fun, which is a problem. I'm just here back from work drinking hot cocoa. I'm an adult, damn it. Hey, drink what you like. I like a good hot chocolate. Right. In fact, I much prefer hot chocolate over tea or coffee, so... Ain't no judge in here. That is my preference. Swearing might help. It does for me sometimes. Oh, I do plenty of swearing when I'm not on camera. Yeah. Although honestly, I think that really did make me swear this week was these fucking boards. So you know I had this the bed cooler design. Well, as you can tell by the fact that there's a capacitor that's just jammed through a hole, some wires here, there's a fly lead with some capped on tape, and it's all a bit of a mess. This board doesn't work either. um. So the problem that I have is that, so this board, the way that it works is you have the 12 volts from your 8-pin CPU power connectors. That goes to these two transistors. They're hidden away back here. Let me bend them back. You can see it better. These two transistors. One of these goes to this side of the text, and one of them goes to this side. And depending on which one of these is on, depends on which side has 12 volts. And then these two are the ground ones. So one of these, you know, if this one's on, then this one will be on. If this one's on, then this one's on. So basically, you can just use these to switch which way. It's kind of like taking this connector, turning it around and plugging it back in the other way, but without having to, you know, have a reversible connector or a way to even actually do that. So that's why these are here. Now, what I need to do is basically lock either one of these on, and then be able to toggle one of these two on or off to allow power to fly into here. Now the problem is that the microcontroller can only output 3.3 volts, which is not enough to open these transistors. These will need 12 volts, or well, at least 5 to open them. And so what I need is a way to step up the 3.3 volt signal from here to 12 for here. Now I used a chip here to do that. Turns out I'm an idiot and I didn't read the datasheet right, and it doesn't do what I want it to do. So I found another chip to do that, tiny little thing, that I did mock test, and I was just going, like, the reason that these wires are sticking up is because I had this board soldered, but then this didn't work how it's meant to, so I would need to either resolder this or just get these fixed properly. So I'm getting these fixed properly, but that means that I have to push this fucking project back up again. Why is the middle connector up so high? You mean this one? That's just is the male connector and the female connector together. I've crimped all the terminals that go into this to the tech, but I haven't plugged the wires into it yet because I don't know which way round I want them to go. Technically, it doesn't matter. That's the whole point of this design, but it also is probably a good idea to not have it plugged in yet while I'm still fixing things, because it turns out that when I was testing with this little thing, it locked both of these two on, and so if that meant that if this was on, it would have been a dead short. Well, it would have been 12 volts on either side, not 12 on ground. Which technically isn't a massive problem, but not ideal. But yeah. I'm also changing the fan resistors to slightly lower resistance so that they get a bit more current because they're not blowing hard enough, and I'm probably going to swap to electrolytic caps instead of the tiny little surface mount ones for that. Yeah, I think that's what I've changed so far. I'm going to order those new boards this week so that they should be here tail end of next week. And then I can finally get this fucking project done. Oh yeah. John, go for it. Hello, Luca. Hey, man. How's things? It's remarkably quiet in the YouTube chat, and yet there are 9 people watching. Is it because it's on top chat instead of live? Oh, okay. Well, hello, YouTube chat. Good to have you, even if you're all 10 of you are just lurking. Would an upgrade from an 8700K to a 5700X make sense? Specifically, this specifically X3D and stuff is not on the cards. Also, I have my brother's motherboard with, I think, a Ryzen 2600. I hope I can upgrade to support 5000. Da, 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 da. So, if you put an RTX 4090 in both systems and tested it, yes, pretty big difference. You're likely to see a lot of performance difference, even at 1440p. At anything lower than that, you start to diminish the effectiveness or the limitation that your CPU would provide. And so if you already have what is essentially a free motherboard, RAM, cooler, and you're just buying the CPU, that does obviously change the value proposition of that upgrade a fair bit, and so it might be worth it. However, my general consensus is that you CPUs matter a lot less for gaming than GPUs do. So the sort of money that you could spend even on a 5700X could go towards a tier up GPU that would probably do you better. I would want to check some benchmarks though. Be sure. Luca, good. Week's been busy. Did my first change today on the primary domain controller. Went well. Good. I can't imagine how stressful the those sorts of large scale changes on large scale infrastructure must be. That's only 1,500 users. Oh, only 1,500? Well, that's fine then. I can't expect the same gaming performance, but the extra cores might help with 100-ish Chrome tabs and 7 other programs in the background. I mean, that is fair. I mean, so I have an 11900K in my PC at the moment, which is what, an 8 core, right? Which was actually a downgrade from the 10th gen, which had 10 cores. I mean, so as someone who has 2 web browsers, Adobe Media Encoder, Streamlabs OBS, Excel, VLC, Easy EDA, and Discord and Signal open, and Steam, and probably 5 other things that are open in the background. I'm currently and currently I'm streaming, although I am using the X264 NVENC encoder. I'm currently using 25% CPU utilization across the cores. Some cores more, I'd say 4 of them are at 50%, the rest of them are at like 20% or whatever. A couple of them are at 10%, whatever. Although that is with hyperthreading, so there's 16 logical processors, 16 threads. But yeah, I would say it certainly can help, but you're probably with your current GPU, I'm not sure that there's going to be a super massive increase, uh, although it would help. Um, but going from if you did upgrade to a 4070 Super, then there's more room for CPU bottlenecking essentially, and therefore it would be more worth it. Uh, yeah, way more people scrutinizing you now if it goes wrong. That's for sure. Going from 2600 to 5700 will give a good uplift with a 4070 Super, about 30%. Yeah, I mean, so he'd be moving from an i7 8700K to 5700X. Also, no way I'd go Windows 11. I don't need more malware on my system. Sorry, spyware. Yeah. Well, it's the whole Copilot Windows recall. That's it. That's supposedly disabled by default. Something something. You have to have an NPU, which the vast majority of people don't. But also, yeah. Exactly, John. Exactly. Hello, Harry. How you doing, man? How's things? No problem. Glad to have you regardless of when you can make it. I apologize for the fact that it feels like I'm gonna fall asleep. I'm on a new medication that is well, it's immunosuppressants. I now have a permanently compromised immune system, but one of the key side effects is it makes you feel like you've got the flu for at least a while. So I currently feel like I'm uh, peak flu, like body aching, headache, tired. Ah. um. So yeah, apologies. Oh dear. I'm in maybe in a couple of years, John. That might be interesting. What's the best app to test RAM? Uh, so you said the word benchmarks there. So there's kind of a couple of different ways to test RAM. Something like memtest is fantastic for validating that your CPU can write to all of the memory and that there are no errors in then returning that information from memory. Um, you'd like to overclock it. Okay, so in that case, actually, first question: what CPU do you have? Um, oh, what CPU? 14600K. Okay, first of all, update your BIOS. Um, Second of all, there are a couple of there are a couple of memory tuner applications for Ryzen that may or may not work for Intel as well. Intel Extreme Tuning Utility actually gives you quite a lot of control over things like memory speeds and timings from within Windows, so you might want to check that out. Realistically, what you want to do is pick a benchmark, ideally one that is more memory heavy, but a CPU benchmark, so something like Cinebench or Blender or something like that. But ideally, I'm currently too not well to remember to think very clearly about what memory utilization benchmarks there are, or memory heavy benchmarks there are. But what you want to do is find a memory heavy benchmark, run it at your current settings, make sure that your system is stable, change the settings, run it again. Ideally, a longer one as well, because really short benchmarks like Cinebench, as an example, don't tend to give you great information on stability. They tend to give you kind of one-shot runs, and sometimes when you're overclocking, even if you're using Cinebench, it can still make it fail. You can also use Prime 95 and whichever one it is, large FFTs or something that stresses memory more heavily to stress test it to make sure that it is stable. And the general advice is to leave it running for 30 minutes, and if it's still running after 30 minutes, you're probably good to go. Ada 64 is one that I forgot. Yeah, Ada 64. That's a good memory one. Yes. Yeah. Hopefully Snore 2. Generally, I don't actually. Yeah. Intel not affected as much as AMD. Only would get a couple of frames extra. Yeah, that's the thing, is that unless you're pushing, I mean, you can eke out some benefit, especially if you're pushing both timings and clock speed. But generally speaking, what actually is it not the other way around? Is it not Intel that generally prefers higher, or it sees use out of higher memory speed, whereas AMD, once you get to 3600 or 5600, give or take, you end up with like severely diminishing returns. Also, hello Simon S63. How you doing, man? How's things? I don't want to discourage anyone from tinkering, but would definitely recommend against messing with memory. Better to play with CPU and GPU overclocks. I would also tend to agree. I mean, tightening the secondary timings. God, I'm tired. On memory can be, because tertiary is set by the system, so I think it's secondary. Playing with the either the primary or secondary, whichever one it is, timings can give you some benefits. Also, yeah, be hard to figure out. Even if you succeed, it's kind of an insignificant gain. Yeah, yeah. That's perfectly fair point. Oh man. Was I? Oh yeah, the video on that 8 terabyte SSD that I mentioned last week is coming out tomorrow. I'd recommend checking it out. As far as I'm aware, CEX still has stock of them. They also have a Samsung PM. Is it 981? I don't know. Another 7.68 terabyte drive for 250 instead of 230, but that's still pretty great. Although I must admit that the price of SSDs has come down a lot. I was looking up because I've posted a few shorts this week, and one of the shorts that I wrote was about that 8 terabyte SSD, and for the price of that 8 terabyte SSD, you can get a 2 terabyte PCI Gen 5 drive. But if you're okay with Gen 4, it's like 120 quid for a 2 terabyte drive, which is absolutely insane. Like amazing, like good kind of insane, but it's insane how much they've come down. I remember testing them in the 2 terabyte drives being like £200-300. Especially PCI Gen 4. Now Gen 4 is dirt cheap by comparison. I'm sure that a Gen 3 drive would be even cheaper. Get a chunky CPU cooler and duct your AC unit into your PC and see the hell of your CPU. Well, again, if all you're doing is gaming, again that's almost a waste of time because your GPU matters so much more. So overclock that, but then those are more heavily locked down and limited. So yeah, prices of flash is getting better in M.2 formats. Not sure how many levels of cells or memory though. Yeah, well, I mean, I know that Micron is on 192 layer, which means that they can fit 2 TB into a single NAND package, which is insane. And so therefore you get it's only a single NAND package. Admittedly, probably quite an expensive NAND package, but it's only a single NAND package plus the controller and ideally some DRAM and then the power management circuitry. That's all you need. Yeah, fair. I actually lower the power of my GPU and lose no performance, but lowers the temp and power draw. Yeah, exactly. It's it's all it's all chasing the diminishing returns, isn't it? And a lot of the time, you can pull back the power, and as you say, you see no performance difference, but you end up with, you know, well, 80% power limit, 20% power saved, and if that's I don't know, 4080 or whatever that's drawing 300 watts, well, I can't do maths in my head, but that's 60 watts. That's 60 watts of power saved while gaming, and 60 watts times, I call it 100 watts you save if you were to underclock and not lose any performance from both CPU and GPU. Let's pretend, and then, you know, your, I don't know what your electricity rate is there, but ours is still at like 26 pence per kilowatt, so that's 2.6 pence per hour you're gaming, you're saving. Yeah. John, the thing about good old Blighty is the humidity is horrendous. So while we don't necessarily get, Arizona temperatures, actually living in it is at least as bad. um, so yeah. 12900 KF overclocked and undervolted. 5.2 gigahertz P cores, 4 gigahertz E cores, 46 ring, voltage offset. 89 degrees under Cinebench R23, Arctic Freezer 360, and 6000 megahertz RAM. Stable at 1.288 volts. I mean, that's decent. I remember doing some overclocking on the 12900K prior to launch, actually. By the way, Alder Lake is what broke me. I was doing 3 videos a week until Alder Lake, and I was just so burnt out after the 2 weeks straight. Like, because I worked up ahead because I knew that Alder Lake was coming, so I worked up ahead so that I could basically only do Alder Lake for 2 weeks straight. And holy shit, yeah, I have never worked so hard, and I will never work that hard again. So much so that I swapped to doing 2 videos a week instead. Realistically, if I was the sort of person who could do one video a month and get 10 million views on it, I'd be happy to do that. The problem is that I am not, and so yeah. Undervolting seems to be the new overclocking nowadays. Makes sense. If it can be the same speed at less volts, might mean less heat wastage. Yes, yeah. Well, the thing is that the trend has been, um, in the, let's call it, late 2000s, early 2010s. Um, the uh, the trend was someone like Intel or AMD will sell you a CPU with the promise that you could do the work to make it better. You could do the tinkering to extract the maximum performance. And that was kind of the allure of them to a degree, especially the higher end and like the overclockable parts. Like you paid extra for the ability to get you could argue unfinished chip, right? Or product. Whereas now in the race to eke out more performance as um the like people like Intel and AMD have been struggling to get more performance out of their own chip designs and like improved designs and stuff. They've gone for what is essentially the lowest hanging fruit, which is, well, what if we do the overclocking for the user and just sell them a essentially pre-overclocked part? And you know, sure, they're technically still overclockable, and you can go and tweak them more, but in the grand scheme of things, we're gonna like push this as hard as we can, and what. Um, so that has meant that you're then actually reining back their work. There is still, I think, part of the whole process is that sort of the golden sample, the silicon lottery, which has gotten better. In fact, as Ish mentions, has gotten better as a general rule. But there is still always variance because Intel or AMD will only really will launch it with a spec power level, and maybe yours can do a bit more, or maybe it can do a bit more, but if you actually go the other way and say, well, let's try and pull the power back without losing performance, you end up being able to sort of play around the limit one way or the other. And yeah, it's, as you say, it's definitely gone the other way, where it's more about eking out the best performance for the lowest power rather than just being able to shove as much power into the fucker as you can. And eke out 2% more performance. Hello, Chris. How you doing, man? How's things? And 29,480 points. And today, match R23. Nice. This year is bad. Lower temps on the med, but humidity skyrocketed, so I feel you. Yeah, it was the same here. Temperatures weren't as bad. I mean, the real temperatures were like 36, 37, 38 on the hotter days, but with ridiculous humidity. Like the actual forecasted temperature, I think peaked at maybe 32, at least around here. But that was 32 at, I think it was somewhere between 40 and 60% humidity, which is a lot. First week at new job, been speedrunning mandatory training today. Nice. Uh, it's just, September is rainy. Normally it's 35 and sunny. I bet October will be scorching. Yeah, I mean it's same here. Yeah, it was. I had to stop filming because the rain was too loud on the windowsill today. So yeah, and it's like 9 degrees outside. In fact, hold on, for some assistant. Okay, so right this second it's 15.5 degrees outside. My own sensors say 15.9 degrees. Yeah. My mandatory training was 500 slides. Jesus Christ, what? Apologies, I'm gonna get some meds out, so I'm gonna mute the mic because it's blister packaging. There you go. Temp still goes up to 28 though. Ouch. No, drug ASMR. You don't want to hear that. It's not nice. It's not the nice kind of drug ASMR. Ow. Ow. Interesting. What does your anti-money laundering training tell you, Luca? I mean, obviously, don't launder money. but it was an idea. I mean, yeah, I guess. Fair enough. That's one way to put it. Be vigilant of people topping up a pay-as-you-go phone account with loads of money and then asking for a refund to a different account. Huh. Can't even trust current clients. I mean, yeah, one of the interesting things, if you happen to watch YouTube Shorts, I'm sure that you'll uh what you call it, you'll be familiar with Thor pirate games YouTube Shorts. He's done a couple, including talking about his social engineering tasks at Blizzard, where what was it? He was given a task to extract information from the customer service reps about things like the local area. So you'd call up and say, "Oh well, I'm actually," while you're troubleshooting whatever issue you've fabricated, um, you'd say, "Oh, actually, I'm thinking of applying for a job at your offices. What's the best like lunch spots in the area if I'm gonna be in there for a day?" And then the rep says, "Oh, it's this whatever around the corner," and now you know where people who work at Blizzard will have lunch basically every day, like when and where. And you can go and nick a badge, and then you've got access to the office, and then so I'm sure there's a lot of that sort of stuff that if you worked in a large enough space, you should probably be aware of. Luckily, I work from home, solo. That's why I microwave fish in the break room. Oh no, your coworkers will hate you. Um, Today, Dr. Andy teaches about red teaming tips for beginners. Always have a set of lockpicks in your wallet. Actually, do I? Please hold. I'm remote / field based. Nice. Which side was it in? Where are they? I used to have a set. Ah, it's that one. Wait, no, that's a different library card first. Ha! I have a sex card. Stop it. It's sex. Yeah, they genuinely want you to call them that. No, I don't know why. Hmm. I guess I don't have it. I used to have a set of lockpicks, a little like travel credit card looking thing. But apparently I don't anymore. I don't know where they went. Alfred's gift card apparently. Sure, that's expired. Should really look through these things. I borrowed lockpicks from my old colleague, worked out how to break into my own house. Nice. I'm gonna be replacing the locks on my house now that I own it. Also, I became a real homeowner today. I bought a ladder. An extendable ladder, or the telescoping ladder, but I saw at DEF CON someone had lockpicking business cards. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I had a like it was a metal set of picks in a plastic case. Um, Ish, in a few years, that statement will be very funny. um, school kids, school kids, guys, I'm going to the sex shop. Yeah. But what's really funny is that I refused, like, even as a 12-year-old, I refused to believe that that was what the shop was called, so I still call it CEX. Like, that is, if I'm going to refer to that shop, it is CEX. Which is actually, interestingly, where the product for tomorrow's video came from. um, so, yeah, but, yeah. Is it normal to want to set up lockpicks? It is as a hobby, um, and as a skill. I have actually tried to lockpick, uh, on behalf of a friend who'd locked themselves both in the house once and then out of the house or out of his room a different time. Although unfortunately, I have not yet acquired the skills necessary, and therefore didn't work. Mm. We didn't have a CEX in our town, so heard of CES before CEX, and just never got the sex reference. Um, yeah, yeah, no, we had one. We were children, and yeah. But they genuinely like if you go to their YouTube channel and like watch one of their promo videos, they don't call it CEX, they call it sex, and I don't know why. Um, Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sure you get that a lot. Yesterday, my third day, I forgot to bring my ID and tailgated to the office. Isn't really hard. Oh, amazing. It should be announced Cax. Yeah, a few people did, but I always just spelled it. Back to social engineering, I'm convinced that it's possible to get into any office. Well, it is because we're all social creatures, and like, especially in Britain, where you're trying to be polite, like holding the door open for someone, even if it's a like badge in, badge out, etc. Um, like people, if you time it right, you know, people will hold the door open for you. Oh, can you get that? Hold up a sec. Oh, thanks. Thank you very much. You know. We're all social creatures. And I think that the takeaway from that Thor video, or the Pirate Games video, is that the problem wasn't necessarily with the people because he got all the information he was trying to get. But like the boss of customer service or whatever came over like and was like, "Give me all the names of the people who gave you information," and he was like, "No." Went to Thor's boss. Thor's boss was like, "Have you got the names? Yeah. Are you gonna give them to him? No. Okay." Because he was just like the boss was just gonna go and fire them. But the problem is that it wasn't like all the people who passed the test, as it were, who didn't give out any information, were all newbies who'd just been trained. They had their training. But all the people who failed were there for 5+ years, and so the problem isn't with the people, because if you fire all those people who were there for 5 years and then hire a load of new people in 5 years time, you're going to have the same problem. The problem is the training regimen. The problem is not reminding people that no, you shouldn't let people into the office if they don't have like, don't be polite, be secure. Like, yeah, it feels bad, but when someone walks out with an entire briefcase worth of your company's IP or whatever, like You're bad. High vis in a tow bag gets you anywhere. It's an obscure tenant. Good thing all our IP is on someone else's computer in the cloud. Yeah. 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 Oh, Deviant Olem has some interesting videos. He's amazing. I haven't watched anything of his in a little while, but the ones that I have watched are amazing. He does great talks, especially at DEF CON. Yeah, highly recommended. A guy walked into our building with a ladder and people let him in. Nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It really can be that easy. Get in any concert with a large ladder and someone at each end. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Which of the ancient invading armies can we blame for us pronouncing circle as circle and car as in car? The French? Well, you should watch Rob Ward's videos. They explain a lot, but the answer I don't know the exact answer, but a lot of them, because like the letter Q is entirely redundant in the alphabet because everything that we use Q for can be said with either C or K. But even then, C or K are technically redundant because a C can make a K sound and a K can either be silent in knock, or well, yeah, like quantum physics, you say it with a K at the start. And it also, like, the fact that Q has to be used with U also realistically makes it pretty redundant. We end up using like E and K together, which is funny because it's really just one sound. Also, Q spelt like that is the best word. It's possibly the longest word that is still just a letter. But you can also spell Q C-U-E, or like pool Q. Why does that need to be different? I think the answer is the French, because que is what, which is Q-U-E. So the Normans, as we would know them. I'd argue C is redundant in English. Many names here and or have C in them, and you just pronounce it the same as K. Yeah, that's the thing, is that, like, it is redundant. Also, so is Q. But why do you have them then? Well, because as I said at the start, English is a language that is just like 4 different languages in a trench coat, and you, they're all holdovers from French or from Latin or from Anglo-Saxon or whatever. And so that's why it is so complicated in the, oh, well, you know, we have like I before E except after C, except in about 15 different cases, because that rule might have come from, let's say, French, but then the Anglo-Saxons might have had some words that had the E and I the other way around, or whatever. Like, it is it is very much a mishmash of languages, all kinda smushed together. Yeah. Dutch is just prototype English. Give me ein Klap, Papa. Dutch is not a serious language. So tell me how "oh" is pronounced. Well, you see, it depends on the words. Because if it's in cough, then it's off. But if it's in what, thorough? Is that how you spell thorough? I can't remember. I'm too high. um, uh, I can't even think of any other words. Uh, I'm too tired. But it depends on the word. Yeah, no, thorough does have OUGH. Okay, good. Loughborough, yeah. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, that has both of them in it. Yeah, that's good. Nice. Um, Hobadolje. It's complete serious. I definitely butchered the first part of that. And he looks like he's off of a mega J. Oh no, I am just I'm immunocompromised and loving it. Oh dear. I hate how it's not completely bad either. I could understand that. Oh god, that's bad. English Team GB. Uh, English is hard. Can be learned. Uh, my eyes have just gone. Thorough, tough. Oh no. No, that is thorough. No, it's not. I can't spell. I can't read. Though, thought, thorough, and bro? Why do I not recognize the first one? I mean, I'm not well, so that won't be helping. But yeah, literally more exceptions to the rule than the examples that adhere to it, according to QI. Well, there you go. Exactly. English is utterly, as in through. Of course. Why am I? I'm, I'm drunk. We have die and het in Dutch, which are nouns that just apply when it sounds good. What? Is die and het not like it? Possessive it? Uh, Fly, cry, fly, Jim, my dry skin, try, pry. There you go. If I was any more cognizant, sober feeling, I might have a chance of saying that any faster, but as it stands, best I've got. Wow, I'm not well. My eyesight's going. Genuinely can't really read very well. What's it like watching someone decompose in real time? Officially, D is used for gendered objects, het is used for plural nouns, but there's exceptions for both. Nice. In Slovak, they change words and names of things so that they sound nicer. Like the wafer bar, Olarak. I genuinely, my eyes are literally disintegrating. Horalki and Kola Kofola will often be said Holaraku or Kofolu just because. I mean, where? Uh, and apparently, Essentialist knows about Cafola and likes it. Like licorice cola. Oh, okay. I'm afraid I don't like licorice, so I wouldn't enjoy that, but fair enough. Oh boy. Oh, as part of my tidying last weekend? I think it might have been last weekend. Maybe it was no, it was the weekend before because I was at Harry Stag. Um, I found the RP2040 board that I was looking for. Nice little feather one. Because I want to try building a latency tool that will come on brain, function please. Please function. Allow you to capture mouse inputs and keyboard inputs. So instead of having to rely on Windows reporting the key down event, you basically plug your device into this, which then passes it onto your desktop as well, but plugs it into this, and then that means that this receives or can do sort of packet sniffing. And in theory, that means that it can register those packets, and yeah. How's the house structural repairs going? So I had a builder come round to give us a quote and tell us a start date, and he said that the structural engineer's report doesn't have enough detail in it, and he wants us to get another structural engineer's report before he will be able to do anything. He's also technically not an approved installer for the Helifix bow ties that the structural engineer recommended. So I contacted Helifix to find some local structure approved installers. I called them and they said, "Oh yeah, no worries. Just send us an email and we will reply to you basically immediately with some local options." And I said, "No problem," and I sent them an email. That was 3 days ago. So yeah. So I'm currently still looking. The one thing is that we want to get a loft hatch fitted first so that they can get up into the loft, because the current one is a little Victorian hatch made for little Victorian people that is literally like that size, and I physically can't fit through it. So we want to put a new loft hatch, or relocate it into the hallway, so that we can actually get up and use it, and so that we can do the repairs. We had someone come round to quote for that, although they quoted an awful lot of money. So, yeah. Got someone else coming next week, next Friday, to give us a quote, which the price that I've been roughly quoted for that is much more reasonable, and we're probably going to go with that. Yes, he can, although it's my understanding that there is enough detail in that report. It's just that the builder that I I had round isn't used to using the uh what you call it, the specific product that uh the structural engineer recommended. Which realistically, like I watched the instructional video on how to install them, because of course I did, and it's pretty simple. You drill a hole through the wall, through the brick. You then put what is basically just a very long stainless steel rod and thread it through the hole and into the wood, like into the joists, sideways. And then you backfill the hole with epoxy so that the threaded rod is then tied into the wall, like tied into the brick, to just hold it together, to hold it to the wood. Um, but yeah, he's not used to, like, I don't think he might have ever installed one of those, and therefore, um, he doesn't know what to do, especially when it comes to the adjoining wall, because you'll have to install it a bit differently to do that. Which I think you could still do, but yeah. So gotta find an approved installer basically anyway. Should really find an approved installer anyway. So, but if the improved installers say, "Oh yeah, we need more detail," then I'll go back to the structural engineer and give him 50 quid to come and improve it. Capono, thank you very much. Glad you liked it. I'm very happy to have it available too. Hello Joe. I am very sorry to hear about your wife. I hope she is doing as best as she can. I'm aware of that's not always great, but I'm now officially permanently immunocompromised, and I'm just starting the medication, which makes you feel like you have quite a bad flu. The whole joint pain, headache, tiredness, that kind of thing. Apparently delirium, because that was a few minutes ago. And so yeah, I'm feeling it a bit. 200F, whenever my dad turns on his PC, I lag completely and can barely even open Chrome. I get search with like 1,000 ping on anything. Well, that's interesting. There are a lot of potential ideas that I might have for that. The biggest thing would be, are you using power line adapters? Ethernet over power. I would also ask what apps and what programs your dad's PC has on startup. Because there's a very good chance that it's just flooding the network. You might, depending on how much access you have to the network, you might, depending on your router as well, you might be able to set packet prioritization on the router for your system so that your system still takes priority even if there's a lot of traffic from your dad's PC. It shouldn't affect your dad's PC that much in actual user experience, but it should mean that you retain usability while it is doing that startup. Oh. She's resting as best as you can. It's been 2 years of it now, and it's not gone down at all. Well, I mean, I'm sorry to hear that as well. As much as I can say, I hope that it does get better. Obviously, that's difficult, but wish you and her the best. Best mouse has lowest latency. Is that a statement or a question? The lowest latency mouse is one with a high polling rate and optical switches. Generally. There are some mice that have double pole single throw switches. And those like what did I review? One of the most recent mice that I've reviewed, the OP1 or something, the endgame mouse, check it out. That has the option for that. Yeah. I do use power line adapters as my room's terrible. If I use a Wi-Fi adapter, I can't use Ethernet, so I have to go through the whole house. I can check his startup type apps the next time he's on his PC. So if it's power line, there's a very good chance that it's just your wiring is not great in the house, and that means that when there is an additional load on the same circuit, i.e. your dad's PC, it basically brings down the power line network. But yeah, check the traffic, see what it says. No worries, Joe. I've run out of energy, so it's not your fault. I am still busy. I've been tinkering with my bed cooler PCB that I fucked up by accident. I presume that could be the issue, but I wanted another opinion. No worries. Always happy to help. With that said, I think I'm gonna or do you test latency on Linux? I would love to, but as I said in the comments of my last latency tool video, one, it shouldn't make much of a difference, and two, I'd have to rewrite the whole software, including the DirectX code, which is it's just not something that I am capable of right now, let alone have the time and energy for. I would love to, but yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not well, so I'll catch you guys tomorrow for a video, Monday for a video, and next week for stream as always. Right. Catch you guys there. Bye.